Hello and welcome to Wavescan, the international DX program from Adventist World Radio. Researched and written by Dr. Adrian Peterson in Indianapolis and produced in the studios of WRMI in Miami, Florida. I'm Jeff White. Today on Wavescan, focus on Africa, Tunisia, Australian states on shortwave, Part 7, Tasmania, and our Philippine DX report. The island of Tasmania is the smallest state in the Commonwealth of Australia, and it's also the only state that is separated from the mainland continent. A total of 334 additional nearby islands, mostly uninhabited, make up the territory that is encompassed as the state of Tasmania. This Australian island is almost triangular in shape. It's more than 200 miles long from north to south and less than 200 miles wide from west to east. More than a third of the entire island is set aside as nature and tourist reserves, and it's stated to this day that there are some wild areas in the southwest that are not yet thoroughly explored. Tasmania is home to several unique flora and fauna, and the most famous animals would be the Tasmanian devil, a small, fierce, black wild animal, and the Tasmanian tiger, which is thought to be extinct. Both the Tasmanian devil and the Tasmanian tiger are classified as marsupials, with an underbelly pouch for carrying the young. Unique flora in Tasmania would include the Huon pine, which is considered to be one of the best boat-building timbers known to man. The small Tasmanian waratah is unique, as is also the Tasmanian blue gum, and the white flower of this tree is the state floral symbol. The total population in Tasmania is around 500,000, and Hobart is the state capital. The second city is Launceston, located in the central north of the island, close to the northern coastline. The Dutch explorer Abel Tasman was the first European to sight the island, and he landed at Blackman's Bay, near present-day Hobart, in 1642. The island was originally named Van Diemen's Land, though in 1856 the island was renamed Tasmania in honor of its original explorer. At the time of the first British settlements in the early 1800s, there were around 5,000 Aborigines on the island, grouped into 9 tribes. One of the Aboriginal tribes gave the name Lutruwita to the island. The last known Tasmanian Aborigine died in 1905. A Hobart-born girl by the name of Mary Elizabeth Donaldson surprised the world when she began a friendship and then marriage with Prince Frederick of Denmark. They met at the 2000 Olympic Games in Sydney, Australia. Very little can be said about the matter of shortwave broadcasting on the island of Tasmania. No shortwave broadcasting station has ever been established on the island, though shortwave is used for local and distant communication. Back more than 100 years ago, a Marconi wireless station was installed temporarily on the north coastal area, now known as East Devonport. The communicating station on the Australian mainland was located on the south coastal area of Victoria, near Queenscliff. On July 12, 1906, communication between these two stations across Bass Strait was opened, and the Governor-General of Australia in Melbourne and the State Governor of Tasmania in Hobart sent messages of goodwill to each other. However, it was another 6 years before a permanent wireless station was installed in Tasmania itself. On April 30th, 1912, station POH at Queen's Domain, Hobart, was officially opened as the second station in the original Coastal Wireless Network. At the end of that same year, the call sign was changed to VIH, in line with the new international allocations. Wireless station VIH was in use for communication with similar stations on the Australian mainland and in New Zealand, and also with nearby shipping. During the early explorations of Antarctica, VIH was also in communication with stations MQI on Macquarie Island and MAL on the Antarctic mainland. Even though there's never been a shortwave broadcasting station on the island of Tasmania, yet there have been many notable occasions when shortwave stations at other locations have made broadcasts to Tasmania for relay by local medium wave stations. Back in December 1928, for example, the Norwegian whaling ship Nielsen Alonso made a broadcast on shortwave from Antarctica for relay by station 7ZL in Hobart. At the time, 7ZL was a new medium wave station owned during that era by a commercial organization. Then in the following year, during the annual Hobart Regatta in February 1929, a small shortwave transmitter was placed on the local coastal ship MV Tura. And details of the events in the waterways of the Derwent estuary were broadcast for relay to the same radio station 7ZL. The remote shortwave transmitter was operated by amateur radio operators, and the temporary call sign for this regatta transmitter was 7BR. On numerous occasions, the AWA shortwave station in Melbourne, VK3ME, carried a relay of major news and sports events for rebroadcast by medium wave stations in Tasmania. These broadcasts were taken from several medium wave stations, including 3DB and 3LO, and they were rebroadcast by the ABC in Tasmania, and also by stations 7LA in Launceston and the old 7UV in Ulverstone. Then, too, radio programs at VK9MI, the mobile marine station on the MV Canimbla, were sometimes rebroadcast by 7LA when the ship was in nearby waters. In 1963, a parabolic receiving antenna was installed at the transmitter site of the ABC regional station 7NT near Kelso for the experimental purpose of receiving ABC programming on shortwave from Melbourne. At least one known broadcast on shortwave from Tasmania took place on May 20th, 1975. A program originating in the studios of the ABC station 7ZR in Hobart was relayed by Radio Australia Shepparton with 100 kilowatts on 15270 kilohertz. A QSL card from the ABC in Hobart showing the huge high-level Tasman Bridge verified this shortwave reception. Maybe over the years, there have been a few other shortwave broadcasts of a similar nature.
You're listening to Wavescan from Adventist World Radio. Send your comments and reception reports to Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46229 in the United States. That's Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46229 in the USA. Or you can email us at wavescan@awr.org. Our email once again, wavescan@awr.org.
Next on Wavescan today, let's go to the Philippines. Here's Henry Umanhay with his monthly report of DX News.
Hello everyone, to our dear shortwave listeners. Good evening, good morning, wherever you're welcome to the April 14th edition of the Philippine DX News. This is report number 74. I'm Henry Umaday Nentique, Central Philippines. Glad to be back and thank you for listening. First, let me thank our DXer friends for sending their reception reports and for keeping in touch. Thank you very much. A13 broadcast schedule for Asia. China Radio International, CRI in English, 1200 to 1400, 1341 AM medium wave service to Manila, 0800 to 1000, 611, 620 kilohertz, 1000 to 1200, 13720 kilohertz, and 13590 kilohertz. NHK Radio Japan in English for Southeast Asia, 1200 to 1230, 11740 via Singapore Relay, 1400 to 1430, 11705 via Palau Relay. For Southwest Asia, 1400 to 1430, 15735 kilohertz via Uzbekistan. For Oceania, 1000 to 1030, 9625 kilohertz. Eternal Good News summer broadcast schedule, 1230 UTC Sunday, 9930 kilohertz, T8WH Palau to Asia. 11:30 Friday, 15525 kilohertz from Arab Emirates, to Middle East and Asia. 11:30 Friday, 15,525 kilohertz from Arab Emirates to Middle East and Asia. Bangladesh Bitar, 12:30 to 1300, 15,105 kilohertz to Asia. HJB Global Australia, 12:30 to 1300, 15,400 to Asia, Sunday to Friday only. Radio Thailand, 12:30 to 1300, 9390 to Asia and Oceania. Voice of Vietnam, 12:30 to 1300, 9840 and 12020 kilohertz. KBS World Radio, 12:30 to 1330, 6095 to Asia. Adventist World Radio, 1530 to 1600, 15335 via AWR Sri Lanka. 1600 to 1630, 15360 kilohertz and 15670 kilohertz via KSDA Guam. 1630 to 1700, 15360 kilohertz Monday, Wednesday, and Friday via KSDA Guam. 2230 to 2300, 15320 kilohertz via KSDA Guam, and 2330 to 2400, 17650 Saturday and Sunday only via KSDA Guam. Reception lags for March 2013. March 5, Radio Thailand on 9720 in English from Modantani at 1245 SIO for 3G. March 8, Adventist World Radio on 17540 in Tagalog. Filipino from Guam at 1045 SIO 444. March 10, Radio Voice of Vietnam on 12020 in English from Suntay at 1235 SIO 333. March 12, Radio Kuwait Filipino Service on 15540 in English in Filipino from Cab at 1115 SIO 433. March 16, Voice of Korea on 9730 in English from Kujang at 430 SIO 433. March 17, Adventist World Radio on 15255 in English from Trincomalee at 1535 SIO 333. March 18, Voice of Mongolia on 9665 in English from Ulaanbaatar at 1540 SIO 333. And March 24, Voice of America on 12150 in English from Tinang at 1245 SIO 444. We have a special QSL card just for you. For your reception report, please send one IRC International Reply Coupon or $2 US return postage will be greatly appreciated. And friends, if you want to get the transcript of today's Pilipinas DX news and see our QSL card series, please visit http://pilipinasdx.wordpress.com. That's http://pilipinasdx.wordpress.com. Follow us also on Facebook, www.facebook.com/pilipinasdx. Or you may want to send us your comments, suggestions, reception logs, and informations to pilipinasdx@yahoo.com. That's PILIPINASDX for pilipinasdx@yahoo.com. This has been Henry Umaday for Wavescan in Antigua, Central Philippines, saying mabuhay at maraming salamat po.
Wavescan presents Focus on Africa, a year-long series of reports about shortwave broadcasting and listening on the African continent. Our focus today is the North African country of Tunisia, site of the recent High Frequency Coordination Conference, or HFCC, hosted by the Arab States Broadcasting Union, or ASBU. The meeting took place during the week of January 28th to February 1st. We were there covering the event for Wavescan. An ASBU car and driver picked us up at the Tunis airport and whisked us through customs and immigration. The drive along the Mediterranean coastline to the hotel revealed some spectacular scenery. Even though it was too cold to go to the beach at that time of the year, it was still nice to see the Mediterranean from the car window, and later from the balcony of our room at Le Palace Hotel, site of the HFCC ASBU conference. Le Palace was one of the many properties belonging to the family of ex-president Zine El Abidine Ben Ali, who fled the country to exile in Saudi Arabia during the Jasmine Revolution in Tunisia in January 2011. The government seized many of his properties, and in fact a lot of the ex-president's belongings are on display on the grounds of Le Palace Hotel. The merchandise, as well as the hotel itself, is for sale. At the exhibition hall, we spoke with a young man who works there.
My name is Hisham.
Hashim?
Yes.
Okay, and you work here at the, what is this called, the Ben Ali Museum?
You can say that, but let's say the show of the ex-president.
And this is actually a casino, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
It's
Or
actually,
it was a casino.
yes, was a casino for a cousin from the president.
Uh-huh. And he also owned the hotel here, the Palace Hotel, the Cartago Palace?
He is the ex-owner of Palace Hotel, but
So does the hotel still belong to the government or no?
now, yes.
Now it is.
Now, yes.
So how many cars are here?
Say about in this room is 22 cars.
22.
Mm.
And what are the most expensive ones? All of them?
This one is the most expensive one.
Uh-huh.
Is Aston Martin,
And I see a Porsche
Porsche Carrera Catalyst,
and a Bentley.
Lamborghini, Ferrari, a lot of Mercedes-Benz, a lot of BMW.
Besides the collection of luxury cars, other rooms are filled with jewels, porcelain, Persian carpets, and various objects of art from around the world, many of which were gifts to Ben Ali from foreign leaders. But back to Le Palace. The television offerings in our room at the hotel were a bit limited. The only English-language channel was CNN International, which allowed us to keep up with world news. There was one channel in French, and the other 5 channels were in Arabic. Most of them seemed to be local, but one of them was Al Jazeera in Arabic from Qatar. As for radio reception, the AM band seemed to be dead, but I noted at least 26 FM stations, most of them in Arabic, but some in French. Besides Arabic music and Quran prayers, there was a fair amount of French and English language music, and I was surprised to hear a certain amount of Spanish language music from Latin America as well. The most interesting local station for foreigners is RTCI, Radio Tunis's international channel, which airs programming in Arabic and French, as well as various news bulletins and some longer programs each day in English, Spanish, and German.
And I thank you for listening to the English language program on FTC. Until we meet again, the headlines in French with Sarah Rajhi are next, and the German language program as well. Stay tuned, and goodbye from Tunis. Bye.
Tunis International Radio, English program.
Despite its name, RTCI is not really an external service. It's on a network of FM channels throughout the country, including 98.2 megahertz in Tunis. It can be listened to abroad via internet. The Tunisian National Radio does have a shortwave service, but it transmits only in Arabic, beamed to Europe, the Middle East, and the Maghreb area of North Africa. They use a 500 kilowatt transmitter located in the city of Sfax in east-central Tunisia. I spoke to the engineers from ONT, the National Telecommunications Office of Tunisia, who were at the HFCC conference. They explained to me that ONT provides the transmission facilities for all radio stations in Tunisia, both government and privately owned. Right next door in Libya, just east of Tunisia, the national radio station ended its shortwave broadcasts 2 years ago during the civil war there, the engineers told me. But they're back on the air now with Arabic programming only, although they told us that they will add English and French language programs in the future, beamed to Africa. They say they have 2 500 kilowatt transmitters and a rotatable antenna. Reports indicate that the service is currently sporadic. On the west side of Libya is Algeria. Like Tunisia, the government-owned radio station operates a so-called international channel, Radio Algeria International, which is not on shortwave, but is on FM in Algiers. It can be heard internationally on the Internet.
Radio Algeria International brings you up to date with the latest news around the globe. Politics, economy, weather and other factual outputs are streaming out every day on both FM and satellite frequencies. For any queries or suggestions, send us your mail to www.algerian-radio.dz.
The Algerian radio does have a service on shortwave using the facilities of TDF, Télédiffusion de France, in Issoudun. But this appears to be temporary, as engineer Lotfi Khalali of Algeria's TDA explained to us that they are building 2 shortwave transmitter sites in Ourgla and Bekhar, each with a 300 kilowatt DRM-capable transmitter. These sites are expected to be on the air within the next year. The programming is intended for the countries of the Sahel in northwestern Africa: Mali, Niger, Nigeria, Mauritania, Chad, and the Polisario Front areas. Over in northeastern Africa is the Sudan Broadcasting Corporation. A representative of the SBC at the HFCC conference told me they have shortwave broadcasts daily from 0300 to 2200 UTC on 7200 kHz in Arabic, beamed 205 degrees from Omdurman. And on 9505 kHz, they have English language programs in the mornings from 0400 to 1000 UTC at 110 degrees azimuth, and in the evenings from 16 to 2000 UTC at 210 degrees azimuth. They plan to add new equipment in the near future and expand to up to 6 frequencies, they told us. Unfortunately, I was not able to hear any of these transmissions when I tried at our location in suburban Tunis. But from my hotel balcony, I was able to hear another Middle Eastern station on shortwave with a very good signal. One of the strongest signals on shortwave at 2:35 p.m. here in Tunis, which would be 1335 UTC on 17705 kilohertz, is Riyadh from Saudi Arabia with 500 kilowatts. After the close of the HFCC conference on February 1st, about half of the delegates took part in a sightseeing tour offered by the ASBU. The first stops were at some of the sites of the ancient Roman ruins of Carthage in the Tunis suburbs. While we were stopped, I spoke with our tour guide, Jamel, who said that tourism is increasing again in Tunisia since the Jasmine Revolution of early 2011.
Actually, tourism now is, we can say, is recovering. Until 2010, until the revolution, we got around 7 million every year. Now we get around 5 million. Today, situation is getting better. People, they are conscious about the revolution, about tourism. They need to get back these 7 million of tourists every year.
What are the most popular tourist attractions for someone who's coming for a short time?
For example, in Tunis here we have Sidi Bou Said and Bardo Museum, where the first Roman collection of Roman mosaics displayed. Also the Medina, the old city too, and also in the northwest of Tunisia. I advise all the visitors to visit Douga. It's a nice Roman site, a lovely, amazing Roman site. And also the desert. The desert is lovely.
Next on our itinerary was the popular tourist town of Sidi Bou Said, which Jamel mentioned. It's on a hillside overlooking the Mediterranean. Most of the buildings in this upscale Tunis suburb are painted blue and white. As the Muslim call to prayer sounded from a local mosque on Friday afternoon, the HFCC delegates walked up the hill along an area of souvenir shops to an open-air tea room overlooking the sea. Mint tea was served, plain with a mint leaf, or with almonds or pine nuts floating on top. Well, the final stop on the tour was downtown Tunis. After passing by the infamous 14th of January Square, where the culmination of the Jasmine Revolution took place in 2011, the bus stopped near the entrance to the souk, the traditional marketplace, which is a maze of narrow walkways full of small shops where the owners urge you to enter and view their offerings, which include every imaginable type of Tunisian handicraft, from lamps to toys, games, stuffed and wooden camels, jewelry, paintings, etc. Back at the hotel that evening, I switched on my radio on the balcony overlooking the Mediterranean. I was amazed to find programming from China Radio International in various languages all over the shortwave dial.
Говорит Международное радио Китая. В эфире Международное радио Китая.
I thought maybe my shortwave receiver had spur problems with so many frequencies occupied by China throughout the evening. But Venceslav Gergiev of Spaceline confirmed to me that this is normal in North Africa and Europe, at a time when many Western shortwave stations are reducing or eliminating their shortwave services. China Radio International is increasing them and seems to be the easiest station to hear on the bands. No wonder, then, that the Chinese delegation was the largest at the HFCC conference in Tunis. For them, shortwave is alive and well. Thanks for listening to Wavescan, the International DX program from Adventist World Radio, researched and written by Dr. Adrian Peterson in Indianapolis. Next week, 100 Years of Wireless and Radio in Bulgaria, Part 5, The Russian Era, European Perspective, and our Bangladesh DX report. If you'd like a QSL card for reports on this program, you can send them to Wavescan, Box 29235, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46229, USA. You can also contact us by email at wavescan@awr.org. That's wavescan@awr.org. I'm Jeff White at WRMI in Miami. Till next week, good listening, everyone.